Welcome to EO Talk.
Hey, Eastern Oregon, thank you for joining us today. And we're glad that you're here with us. And like always, on this Tuesday that we talk about COVID, Carrie is with me. How are you doing, Carrie?
I am good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Have you had a chance to enjoy any of that sunshine?
Not yet. I just ran outside for a quick errand, and I was definitely wishing I could stay out there. I'm cold all the time, so it still feels a little bit too cold for my taste, but the sun just definitely puts a different spin on the world, so I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if it was over the weekend or something, but I mean, it was warm out. People were active, I mean, they were still compliant or trying to be, but it was good to see kind of life coming back a little bit to normal. I mean, and that happens, I mean, when the sun warms up, our business increases and stuff, just because people they're more active. They're thinking about, oh, that's right, I need to do that, and I'm sure they're like, yeah, I need to mow my lawn, or I need to work on my project, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, it's definitely that time of year. Start getting outside a little bit more, and I'm grateful we have warmer weather to do it.
Yeah, and how good it is to get out and not have to have a mask on, and just that's what a relief that is. And thank the Lord we live in such a beautiful place that people can do that, So, yeah. Well, tell us, what is the hot news in the COVID world?
The hot news in the COVID world, I feel like, and we've talked about this before, I'm often sharing information about things that we've already talked about before. I do feel like there are, I was trying to think of what's new this week. What's the new news in COVID-19 this week? And I feel like we do have two things that have happened and that are coming up in the future that I definitely like to talk about today. I think one thing that's happened since we last spoke is the decision to put a temporary pause on the administration of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. I know that it actually took us quite a bit of time to get some of that Johnson & Johnson here in Union County. I know that we did have local pharmacies that were providing it. And, this all also happened around the same time when they had some production issues, which also impacted the supply. So, the reality is that we were really hopeful that this vaccine would help us increase the availability so we could more quickly get through vaccinating members of our community. And also, it gives people another option. I know people, it's nice to have choices. That, for some people that vaccine may have been their preference. I think there's some good news potentially in this. And I don't, know that it's hard to hear that they are putting a temporary pause on this, knowing that pause had to do with people having some serious potential side effects with that vaccine. But I think one of the things that I find to be really good news is that this pause gives me really great confidence in the system that we have set up to identify potential problems with medications. And I think, the reality is that we all are interacting with different types of medications, including vaccines, all the time, right? So these medications are all tested, and they, in many cases, this is not the only vaccine, this is not the only medication that can have side effects. And so we have this system that's called VARS, and I can't remember what that stands for, and I'd have to go Google it and look up what that acronym is. But every time somebody has an adverse reaction to a medication, and in the case of vaccines, that goes into the VARS system, and those are monitored. And so if somebody has a potential side effect and they see a pattern in that, then we get information and we can take action on that. Now, this side effect happened in 6 people out of 7 million vaccines that have been administered. So very, very, very rare, but
Right.
it was identified and quickly they took action on it. And now we're going to take action that's needed to give people more information, give healthcare providers more information so we can begin administering that vaccine again. I believe that's what's going to happen. I obviously don't know what the decision will be, but based on what I'm hearing, I believe that we'll begin resuming that with just additional information.
Yeah. Well, and it was kind of sad. I mean, yes, it's good that the system worked, and that should help build confidence in folks. The downside, clearly, as you know, is that that was a fairly wanted vaccine. There were some people that were holding out for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine for various reasons, and so I'm sure that there are some people that are a little bit disappointed about that.
Yeah, and I think that, again, I believe that we will be able to offer that vaccine again. I believe that it could happen as, early as next week, that could be back on the table as an option for people. And what will likely happen is there'll be more information to help you make a decision about whether or not that's the right or best choice for you. There will be more information to help you know what to look out for if you have a potential, negative or consequence of taking that vaccine, like these very small number of people did. And then it'll also help healthcare providers know what to do when you show up with those symptoms so they can give you the right medical treatment. And again, I do feel like it does give me more confidence in our ability to identify issues and then correct them. And this is not unique to vaccines. This happens with medications all the time. And, I hope that for people that did want that as an option, that they will feel confidence in that. And when we're able to offer it again, come and get it.
Good. So now let's talk about who can be vaccinated at this point, and where are we at in the stages of groups of people that can be vaccinated?
So as of Monday, I believe, every single person who is 18 and older can get their vaccine. So as I've said before, we have a website and we actually have appointments available right now. If you go to chdinc.org/GV, which stands for Get Vaccinated, you can actually pick from 3 days right now. There's three days where we have appointments available over the next couple of weeks. So 18 and older, as we're offering the Moderna vaccine right now. So if we are able to begin offering the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, folks can sign up for our listserv and get updates on when those clinics are available. And of course, you can continue checking the website. We're always going to have what's open available there. I think the other thing, and actually I should step back and correct what I just said because it was not correct. Technically everybody 16 and older is now able to get a vaccine because we have vaccines that are approved for people ages 16 and older. The reason why I said 18 and older is because in Union County, as of this minute in time, you can only get vaccinated if you're 18 and older. The good news, or the news of the week, the new news, is that we have been working pretty diligently to try and get some of the Pfizer vaccine here in Union County so we can provide vaccine to 16 and 17-year-olds that are only able to get it if they get the Pfizer. And we have made pretty significant progress on that. And we don't have a schedule up yet, but I feel like if everything aligns, we could be able to offer that as early as next week. So really hopeful that is going to happen. The logistics of this vaccine are just a little bit more complicated than the others. So next week, really keeping our fingers crossed that will be an option and people can check our website or sign up for the listserv, and that's how we'll put the information out for those 16 and 17-year-olds that are ready.
So with the Pfizer vaccine, if I'm remembering right, it has to be stored at -200 degrees or something like that. And how do they send you a special freezer? I mean, how do you have any idea how they accommodate that for you? How does that happen?
Yeah, so actually, not only does it have to be in the ultra cold storage, but it also comes in lots of 1,000 and something. I can't remember that, like 1,070 or something like that. So you get, you have to have a special place to store it, and you get a large amount that you have to use within a certain period of time. So this is really the reason why it's been primarily going to the larger healthcare systems, the really, really large vaccine events at the Civic Center or in Portland, the Convention Center, because it just, they have the storage, they can use it quickly, which is what needs to happen. So how they have been working and why it's taken us some time is because there's been lots of pieces that have needed to be put in place, is that we have points in our rural counties that have that ultra cold storage, and they're basically going to act as hubs, is what we would call them. So they will send the vaccine to this hub that's located in each region of the state, and then those hubs will disperse smaller amounts of vaccine. So that does mean that it can be stored outside of that ultra cold storage for some period of time. So, but you do have to, use it within that specific time. And of course, I don't have that specific time memorized, but the idea is that we'll be able to get a smaller allocation of that from the hub and be able to administer it within the period of time that it's allowed to stay out of the ultra cold storage. So a little bit of a logistical configuration to get that all set up, which is why it's taken some time. But we're so close. So I'm really just, like I said, fingers crossed, everything aligns. I think by next week, we'll be able to offer some here.
Good. And that vaccine specifically has been approved for people younger than between 16 and 18. Is that, am I following that right? Okay.
Yeah. So the Pfizer goes, basically it's for 16 and older. And because of the fact that we have, we're not getting a lot of it, we really want to prioritize the use of this vaccine for the 16 and 17-year-olds that aren't able to get the Moderna. So if somebody's 18 and older and they want vaccine, they can come down as soon as Thursday and get their first dose, because we have appointments available on Thursday still.
Are you seeing much interest in that, in the younger folks, like teenagers wanting to be vaccinated?
So I will tell you that I don't hang out with a ton of 16 and 17-year-olds, but I also have to tell you that I have absolutely heard that there are 16 and 17-year-olds that are interested in getting vaccinated. We've been contacted by parents, and I'll be honest with you, I was pretty persistent in trying to get this vaccine in our region, and it was 100% because we had people contacting us and reaching out to us and saying, I want my child to be vaccinated. Can you please help us get them vaccinated? I've also been, involved in conversations where, folks really understand that vaccine can be the pathway to more normalcy. And for youth, that's definitely something that I know they're wanting to do their athletics. They may want to travel, spending time with their family on a vacation. And the reality is that at this point in time, the surest and quickest way to that is to get people vaccinated. So I can only tell you that when we open up the clinics and we see how many people sign up, that's when we're really going to know what the demand is. But I have no doubt that there are absolutely people in that 16 and 17-year-old range that are interested. And like I said, I'm really hopeful we'll be able to accommodate them soon.
So you've watched the numbers, the cases every week or every day for months and months now. Yeah. How are we doing? Are you seeing, it wouldn't be unexpected that as things open up, we're seeing a little bit more of a case count going up. Do you have any, looking at your crystal ball, Are you seeing any trends? And, are you seeing any trends maybe associated with people being more relaxed?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely track the case counts. I look at them every day, multiple times a day, still over a year later. I have also seen the numbers at the state level creeping up. I watch news reports where they talk about increases happening in states, and I see Oregon and, highlighted in red, and we're one of those states that's trending up. I think the really good news is that our county seems to be at a little bit of a steady state. So, we've talked about the risk levels, and we've been in moderate for quite a while now. And at the end of the most recent 2-week period that's going to determine movement, we should be moving actually into the low category. So our case counts and our test positivity rates are bucking the trend that we're seeing in the state a little bit. It's hard for me to know whether or not we're just lagging behind or we're just really not having that activity, but I just try and focus on the fact that we're in that category and that so far so good. We've been able to stay there. And, I do have to say I've been on a couple of calls over the last week with Oregon Health Authority staff, and they've definitely been, sharing some concerns about what they're seeing. I think the case counts increasing, a little bit of an increase in hospitalizations at the state level. And then the circulation of the variants that we're seeing. I think I was just on a call right before this, and they said, it's definitely not time to let up. And I know I've said that to you many, many times before, but the reality is that if we want to keep the case counts down, we want to keep the test positivity rate low, we do have to kind of continue doing the things that we've been doing until we get to a level of vaccination where the disease isn't circulating in the community or in the state or in the nation.
Yeah. So without getting too deep into the woods, are you seeing the variances in our area? And I know that you're not prepared to talk about what's here or whatever, but have you seen any correlation? Do you think, is that affecting us in any way that you would, and again, I know that's a tough question. Do you see anything there?
So I think that, we're seeing variants across the state and the nation. The Oregon Health Authority is actually posting information on the variant counts for the state. They have them broken down by region. I was just looking at that map, and right now in Region 9, which is where Union County is, it doesn't appear to be a large number of variants. I think the complicating factor with this is that every test that's run doesn't get tested for variants, right? So when we're looking at the number of variants we have, it's a sample of the total tests that are conducted. And so every time I've been on a call with the Oregon Health Authority, they've been talking specifically about the B117. I have no idea. I'm not sure where the origin of that one is, but they're really seeing an increase in that. And the concern with this is that they believe that it's about 50% more transmittable than the COVID-19 that we've been dealing with over the past year. And so, again, we have potentially a more severe infection, a more transmittable infection. And the reality is like I said before, the way that we kind of get a handle on that is to get as many people vaccinated as possible so we can stop the viruses from circulating and they can stop varying themselves into these more potent or transmittable versions of the virus. So I think it's something that we're going to continue to monitor and talk about for quite some time.
Well, and it's still just a good reason to keep being vigilant, keep being careful. There is a way of living and going on with life and still being careful at the same time. And it doesn't have to be one or the other. And I'm glad that, people are finding that balance. And we did an interview. I haven't had a chance to talk to you guys about this, but we interview with Tim Gleason. It's been, I think it was last Tuesday, and I had Tim on, and I asked him, and Tim and Linda were patients 1 and 2 of COVID in Union County, over a year ago, and they isolated themselves. They didn't pass it on to anyone. They were very conscientious about what they did. But of course, since they've had it, Tim has spent a tremendous amount of time following that. And he's a retired anesthesiologist, admittedly not an epidemiologist. Is that the word? Yeah, anyhow. But I was very interesting because I kind of dug in and I, kind of cornered him a little bit. And we talked about the vaccines and the different ones and how they were created. And of course, he got into way more detail than what I could really follow. But at the end of the day, he said, you absolutely should get vaccinated, and even though him and his wife had both had COVID, so they had some natural immunization because they have had COVID, they chose to take the Johnson & Johnson shot as a booster. That's the way they looked at it. So I don't know, from somebody who still thinks about this and, and trying to figure out where I'm going to land on it personally, I just thought it was a really good middle ground perspective. And I really appreciated that. So I don't know. It adds credibility. You guys didn't ask me to test you, but it's what I do. I gotta, and so it just tells me that, yeah, we're on the right track. And a part of being vigilant with your own personal health and the health of others is to take advantage of vaccinations and so on and so forth like this. So.
Yeah. And I feel like at this point, most of the people that were really eager and ready and excited to get their vaccine, we've probably gotten a lot of those people in Union County. And so, there's probably still some people, I know there's some people that are going to be a hard no. They for whatever reason, they're going to make a decision that this isn't right for them. But I imagine that there are still some people out there that are contemplating whether or not, choosing the vaccine is right for them. And, I was thinking about my own experience, and there was a period of time where I was not a hard yes. And there was a point in time where I was like, I absolutely need some more information before I can decide if this is the right choice for me. And there was some very specific information that I needed. And it was really, the mRNA vaccine, it's a new type of vaccine. It's a vaccine that we haven't used in the past. And so I really wanted to understand how it worked. And I heard, I think, 3 different physicians explain the mechanism in 3 slightly different ways, which really helped me because I'm not a really hard science person. And they, talked about how it worked. And then I watched a news article where it talked about the history of this mRNA and how, this had actually been in development for 10 or more years. And that the reality is that when the previous administration decided to, put funding into the Operation Warp Speed, I think is what it was called, and really commit to the development of this vaccine, that it literally was 10 years of work that they were able to put into a 1-year period. So, even though it did go fast, it was grounded in research that had been ongoing, and they just needed that infusion to take it over the edge and get it to this point. And, once I really learned more about that vaccine and really understood how it worked, I had the level of confidence that I needed to make that choice, right? So I understand that sometimes people just have that one question or the one concern or the one thing that they need to think about. And so, I bring this up because I just want to make sure that if people do have questions or unanswered concerns or things that where it really just is a matter of it would help them to have more information, that would be good for us to know, so we can help people answer those questions. And I know you've had physicians on here before, and I know that they've probably answered some of those questions, but I think for me, that's what I feel like our job is in public health, is to give people information that will help them make a decision. And so knowing sometimes what those questions are can be useful.
Good. Yeah. And I think you're right. I mean, and I think that's a good place where I try and land in life. There are things that I initially will say, absolutely not, and they can be a variety of things in life, but a thinking person is still going to think about it. A thinking person is still going to evaluate, hey, is that position correct? Is there new information? Am I still learning? Am I still a person who learns? And those are really powerful characteristics for anyone to have. So, yep, you're right. And thank you guys for providing that information. I know that people are tired of hearing from you, and they're probably personally, they say personal things about you and the CHD from time to time, but you're just doing your job, and I appreciate that. So, all right. Well, anything else before we go, Carrie?
No, I think we've covered most of it today. Like I said, we still have vaccine appointments available. So please take advantage of that if you're ready to get vaccinated, and keep an eye out for more information on when we can offer the Pfizer that will be able to give to the 16 and 17-year-olds.
All righty. Great. Thank you, Eastern Oregon. And we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you soon.